Enzo Maresca to Chelsea was also made official today, and that is also a 5-year contract, but there's an option of a further year as well. So, Jules, let's talk a little bit about this. A 5 to 6 year contract for Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. Why so long?
That's a really good question, considering he's their 5th manager in the last 18 months. If you get rid of him in another 18 months, that would be, again, even more money to pay off him and his staff. Then I would think there's a clause somewhere in that contract to say that if indeed their relationship, their working relationship is stopped before that, if they get rid of him or if they part ways mutually, that they won't have to pay all the remaining length of his contract, because that would be crazy, really, from a Chelsea point of view. It makes no sense, really. So I would think there's a clause in there. Apart from that, I think he probably would want to sign so long because he wants to work on the longer term. We know that he's been happy, unlike Pochettino, to work within the structure and to focus on the coaching and let the sporting directors and people above him at the club to decide about recruitment and a lot of things like that. So more kind of adaptable than what Pochettino was, which just wanted the full power and that's it, being the boss, really. I think Maresca certainly approaches the job in a very different way. That's good to see. It's still a big gamble from the club to go with such a young, inexperienced manager. And for him, considering the mess at that club for the last 2 or 3 years, it's still a big job to take.
This point exactly has obviously raised a few eyebrows with the Chelsea fan base, Shaka, especially such a long contract when you think it's a similar one to what Graham Potter was given, and he lasted 7 months.
It's raised a few eyebrows with a lot of people, not just the Chelsea fan base. When we came in today, we were kind of discussing this, and Stevie making the point that there has to be some clauses in there about termination and targets hit. I kind of feel no. Listen, there is nothing about this appointment that makes any kind of sense to me. And don't get me wrong, what Maresca did with Leicester, simply outstanding. That's his first full season in charge of a club. Leicester in the Championship is a very different prospect from any Premier League club, let alone one with the expectation of Chelsea and the dysfunction over the last few years. So coming into that kind of a job, without really firm experience under your belt, is a hiding to nothing, and it's a concern for me in kind of looking through his history, and you wonder what spurred this. Worked at Manchester City under Guardiola, and you see what Arteta's done at Arsenal, so therefore you think, well, therefore everybody who once shared coffee with Pep Guardiola is going to make a Premier League manager, and it just does not work like that. And again, we're sitting talking about Chelsea, decisions being made, this time about a manager, or again about a manager, that just make absolutely no footballing sense. Maybe it works out and everybody's left with egg on their face. But as of right now, and kind of given the history, particularly under this ownership group, you just can't, I just can't see it.
Surprising for you, Stevie, to see such a long contract?
Yeah, there's no way this is straight up 5 years. Not a chance. It's not possible. I mean, they've made a lot of decisions, Chelsea, and they've all been wrong, right? And surely even they will learn from having to pay Potter up over a 5-year period not to do that again. But then again, you know what? The fact that they've given Maresca this job, you've got to scratch your head. I am really trying very hard to think of a good reason why this could even be a calculated risk, a good calculated risk. But it's not even that. How about we've got a young team who need guidance, so I know what we'll do. Let's get a young, inexperienced manager and hope that he's able to guide them.
Well, what kind
of sense does that make?
How does he get this young team on his side?
Listen, I think the team was on Potter's side. I think the team were on Pochettino's side. Mm-hmm. But when you don't have the right players and the right mix, it doesn't matter how much they like the manager. It's about winning games. And according to the hierarchy at Chelsea, it's not just about winning games. It's about a style of play. It's about ticking all the boxes. We need to make every single player we just brought, you need to make them better. But we need to win as well. And we have to have a lovely style so that the fans will love it. And then the fans will love you as well, because they want that as well. They want a manager who's going to bring the fans in and make them love them and make them love the club. I mean, they're in absolute dreamsville, this mob. This is stuff this is a wish list, is what this is that they're looking for.
Look, if you have a young team as Chelsea do, you need an experienced manager. If you have a young team like Real Madrid do, a young, very talented team, you have an experienced manager. So to bring in an inexperienced manager in a team as young as Chelsea are, without their experience, when things start to go wrong and they're looking to the sidelines for somebody to get them back on track, you don't trust the inexperience of Maresca. When things are going well, great. I totally understand that. And to the contract and whatever is compensation, the only way it makes any sense is if Leicester were about to offer him exactly the same. If Leicester were prepared to put 5 years, 5+1 on the table for Maresca, and then daring Chelsea to match it, then maybe you understand that from a business perspective. But Leicester have their issues as well, financially. So I'm not sure how Leicester, given the problems, given the dark clouds that are kind of gathering above them, given profit and sustainability and all that comes with it, they're not in a position to offer a manager of all, a star player maybe, but not a manager 5+1 contract. So nothing about it is adding up. Again, either from a business perspective or from an on-the-pitch perspective, given the makeup of this squad.
Can you offer any hope here to the Chelsea fans?
No, in the end, the result will tell. He's a young manager. He can bring something special, the energy, some view that maybe we haven't seen yet. The way that I see this in the business side is just, if you want to bring a top manager, it's going to cost you 10, 15 million a year. You are going to sign it for 2+1, is around 30 million. And you're bringing a young manager, the probably expectation money-wise are not going to be that high. So it's going to be 2. So in 5 years, if you want to send him out, you want to sack him in the next 6 months or 1 year, maybe you're going to pay even less, because those 5 years are not going to be even as much as you will pay if you bring a top manager. So maybe the direction of the business is that way. We're going to bring a young manager. Let's see how we work with him, and then we'll decide what we do depending on the result. But the cost is going to be less probably of having a top manager if you want to bring him.
But Jules, how does this Chelsea 11, or how could they line up under Maresca? And what's the goal actually? What's the objective next season under their new manager?
So in terms of the team, again, it's a small sample we have because he's only had one season as a number one coach professionally, full season. He had a bit of time at Parma, but that didn't go well. So really last season at Leicester in the Championship is what we have. 4-3-3, pretty dogmatic in terms of the formation, never really changed. So I've tried to imagine what his Chelsea team could look like, keeping that 4-3-3 that he seems very, like not stubborn, but very focused on, really. So the back four, again, you could look at Colwill, Disasi. It looks like Tozin is joining the club as well, so that's another option. I'm not sure if Chalobah will be there. Reece James and Chilwell, depending on fitness. Of course, you also have Cucurella, you have Malagusto for the two fullbacks position. So we'll see. The most interesting, I think, for us is to look at the midfield and the front three. The midfield three, and I put Cole Palmer there because Cole Palmer doesn't really fit anywhere in a 4-3-3, apart from maybe that kind of number 8/number 10 attacking midfielder position. Him there, Caicedo and Enzo, that doesn't mean Gallagher is in the starting 11. We don't know if he will still be at the club as well next season, but if he still is, then obviously he can also come in and play in one of those three positions. And then the front three, Mudryk and Madueke on each wing, because Maresca likes those pacey, wide players. We saw that at Leicester with Mavididi on one side, Fatawu on the other side. And he likes a 9 that I think could be Christopher Nkunku, could be Nico Jackson, or could be somebody else if they go and sign a real number 9, a proper number 9, the likes of Osimhen or Vlahovic or somebody like that. So he would obviously come in. That means a 4-3-3. I'm not really sure again if it suits Cole Palmer, if it suits Nkunku, if you don't play him as a 9 or a false 9. So maybe Maresca will evolve a little bit and change that formation. But certainly last season, and again, this is his only season, only full season as a number one coach, he went for the 4-3-3. So I'll try to find a way of setting up this Chelsea team in the 4-3-3.
Enzo Maresca is 44, by the way, in case you were wondering. What did you make of that lineup that you saw there, CV?
I have absolutely no clue what's going to happen. I am not kidding. You could just get them all and go like that, because they've just got a new manager. They've got the 5th manager in 18 months, and all of a sudden the new guy's going to come in and start adding more things to their brain. According to some, the last 5, 6, 7 games we saw a chink of light. They got results. They seemed to look as though they were playing better. It seems as though the things that Pochettino was talking to them about, it seemed as though they had sunk in. And what do? They start again. So now you're starting again. And there's no question it's going to be 4-3-3. So, as Jules says, where do some of these guys play? Nicholas Jackson's not a centre forward. He probably wouldn't even play. Where do you play Cole Palmer? You're not going to play with a number 10. So there's nothing about it makes any sense. Surprise, surprise, we're talking about Chelsea. That doesn't make any sense. Fancy that. It's an absolute and utter shambles, this club.
So much to look forward to, Shaka.
There's nothing to look forward to. Well, if you're a Chelsea fan, what have you got to look forward to? You're scratching your head, asking yourself, who's Enzo Maresca? You're scratching your head going, hold on, we won some games, so we got rid of the guy that won us some games, so let's start again. I mean, it's just it's a complete and utter shambles. Absolute shambles, this club.
I'm not sure how much more positive I can be than Stevie, but if I'm offering a glimmer of hope to Chelsea fans, I'm saying that's on paper an incredibly talented side, no question. The issue with that is it was equally talented under Pochettino, it was equally talented under Potter, it was equally talented under Tuchel, and we see how that went. But in June, it's great to be able to say these are the players that we have in our roster and we can call on. Come August, September, when the season gets going, you just don't know what this team is going to deliver, given what we've seen from them over the last couple of seasons.
All right, we're going to say goodbye to Jules right now. Jules, we expect a Real Madrid shirt with Mbappe's name on the back on your next podcast, all right?
Sure.
All right, lovely stuff. Thanks so much for being with us, Jules.